Hey there, you're watching DeProgram with Ted Rall and John Kiriakou. It's Wednesday, January 7th, 2026. Good morning, John Kiriakou.
Good morning, Ted. Good to see you again, buddy.
Likewise,
How come I always look so washed out and you always look so put together? I don't have any lights on or anything.
It's got to be a lighting thing.
It's got to be.
Do you have one of those ring lights?
Yeah, but it's off.
Oh, I was going to say, I thought maybe it was on too much.
No, you look good. I don't.
I just have natural light facing the east. I don't know. Actually, that's not. Is that true? No, it's facing west. I don't know.
I'm
it's a cloudy
facing
day.
north.
I don't know. Filtered light's good. Maybe it's my naturally ruddy complexion.
There you go.
Something one of my ancestors didn't tell me about. I thought I was all French and German, but you just never know.
You never know.
No, you really don't. Anyway, my friend Scott Stantis found out that he was like part Ashkenazi Jew, and he had no idea. He thought he was just Lithuanian. I'm like, you guys over there in Eastern Europe.
That's normal. That's normal. There was someone to whom I was once very close who went through her entire life thinking and telling everybody she was French. And then as soon as that 23andMe came back, it was no, German. Which she didn't like one bit.
Although, frankly, genetically, they're kind of exactly the same.
Right.
So, all right. So people always freak out when I tell them where the word France comes from. Anyway, they can look that up. So we obviously are going to be talking about the ongoing neo-imperialist lust of the administration to acquire half the world like it's a game of Risk. We're still talking about Venezuela. John, just as we went on the air, I'm sure you saw the breaking news that U.S. forces finally boarded an oil tanker, a Venezuelan oil tanker that they had been pursuing for months. By the way, I love this story. The United States wants to overthrow governments and run them, but it can't catch an oil tanker for months at a time.
Not known for its incredible speed.
No, only in that movie with Sandra Bullock. Yeah, no, it was just like really, really funny. So, and meanwhile, another oil tank. So that oil tanker was wanted for supposedly carrying cargo to a company or an entity that was somehow linked to Hezbollah, linked to being such an incredibly nebulous word. That's a different oil tanker, apparently, from the one that the Russians are now escorting, which I feel that does set the stage for a confrontation between Russia and the United States that I would suspect neither country wants.
I would imagine not.
We will get to that. So the New York Times is reporting that there's a 1951 agreement between the U.S. and Denmark that basically allows the U.S. to, quote, construct, install, maintain, and operate military bases across Greenland, house personnel, control landings, takeoffs, anchorages, moorings, movements, and operations of ships, aircraft, and waterborne craft. I mean, it basically seems like the United States could de facto occupy Greenland anyway.
But it already, and it already does. We've got the military base there. It's been there forever. We can do anything we want. The whole of Greenland is only 50,000 people. So everything we could possibly want to do with Greenland, we can already do. There's nothing left. I mean, it's ours de facto anyway. Yep. So why? Yesterday, there was kind of an important development on this story, Ted. The European Union, literally every country in the European Union sided with Denmark. Every one of them.
That's a big deal.
That's a very big deal because we're talking about Poland and Hungary and all of the other pro-US, less pro-EU members of the EU.
One of the EU analysts who, and I really liked this quote, I bet you saw this quote, said, what basically the crisis that's set up here is what happens when a NATO member turns out to be a wolf rather than a fellow lamb.
There you go.
And that's exactly the issue here.
Yes.
And last but not least, maybe I'm going to think certainly one of the most notorious spies in U.S. history, Aldrich Ames, has died in prison at the age of 84. Obviously, I know you have a lot of opinions about this.
I remember him. He was one of those faces in the halls you'd see all the time. And I remember saying to a guy that I worked with, doesn't that dude ever work? Because literally every time I go like to the credit union, which is, on the first floor of the old building, you go to the blind man stand to buy a pack of gum or whatever. Literally every time I would leave my office, there was Ames just kind of wandering the halls. And I read in his obituary last night that he may have actually had brain damage from long-term alcoholism. That was one of the reasons why he sort of didn't get a break from the agency when he agreed to plead guilty, because he couldn't remember all the bad shit that he had done for the Russians, for the Soviets before the Russians. Anyway, he died yesterday at the age of 84 in the maximum security penitentiary called the Communications Management Unit at the federal prison in Cumberland, Maryland. One of the reasons why he is so notorious, and really that's the word, he's notorious, was because not only was he a traitor working for the KGB, but he volunteered, number one, and then decided that, well, you know what, it's probably too dangerous for me to work for the Russians when we have Russian spies working for us. I'm going to out all of them so they can't out me. And all 12 were executed. So this guy had a lot of blood on his hands, the blood of people who were, working for the CIA, helping the American government. He was responsible for the deaths of a lot of people. And I tell you what, there's another spy who just got out of prison that nobody's talking about. And that's a former CTC colleague of mine named Nicholson. He did his 30 years and got out. But when Ames was captured, or when he was arrested, Nicholson said, well, I've been turned down for promotion so many times, and Ames was just arrested. The Russians are going to probably need a spy to replace Ames, so I'm going to volunteer.
Wow.
He outed to the Russians the names of 200 of us, including me.
Wow.
And so he got caught and was sent.
It's a certain type of careerism.
You can say that again. People are sick. Anyway, the bottom line is Ames had a lot of problems. He was a chronic alcoholic. He constantly got not fit for service ratings. He did a tour at the UN, not fit for service. He did a tour overseas, not fit for service. So they gave him a desk job. But what's the desk job? They make him chief of the counterintelligence branch in the Soviet operations division. 23 people were identified for discipline by James Woolsey, the director of the CIA. 11 of them had very strongly worded letters put in their files. They were ineligible for promotion for a whopping period of 1 year, and the rest just went on with their careers. So to hell with Aldrich Ames. I'm sure that he's already arrived there. As I told you before we went on the air, I hope he packed light because it's going to be hot down there. And maybe he'll become reacquainted with the souls that he was responsible for sending into the netherworld.
Perhaps so. Yeah, I mean, so was he like? What was his personality like? Was he a pleasant fellow, an unpleasant fellow, or?
He was one of those rare DO introverts. Mm-hmm. He always smelled the alcohol. I remember that, always, like all day long. But I'll tell you one of the reasons why he was unpopular. He was dangerous to be close to, because you're not supposed to drink. He drank constantly. You're never, ever, ever under any circumstances supposed to have sex with one of your sources. Not only did he have sex with one of his sources, he married her and then brought her in to spy against the United States with him. She ended up doing 5 years. She testified against him and she moved back to Colombia. So he was unpopular for that, and he was stupid too. You know how he got caught? He took a huge amount of money from the Russians, $2,720,000 for outing the dozen agents who were killed, and then, like a moron, he bought himself a multi-million-dollar house, right walking distance from the CIA, which nobody could afford if you're working for government. And then drove to work in a Jaguar the next day. And people are like, whoa, you just bought a $3 million house walking distance from the CIA where none of us can afford to live. And you're driving a Jaguar and your wife doesn't work and you make $70,000 a year. And that's how he got caught. He got caught. Actually, that piqued their interest. What got him caught was he was bragging to a colleague that he had put in an in-ground pool in the backyard and built a gazebo. And then they were like, okay, that's enough. We got to investigate this. And that's how they caught him.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, it seems so basic, right? I mean,
it is.
I've never been part of this world, but, you know, I know, for example, the way that the old school mafia lived in Queens in like in modest houses in Howard Beach.
Seriously, you go to Al Capone's house that's, you know, people are still living in Chicago. It's a 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom brick bungalow.
Yeah. And that's how, I mean, I know John Gotti was a little different, but before that, they were, you know, they would just like, they lived, their cover was that they were plumbers, and sometimes they actually did some plumbing and, you know, or waste management or whatever.
Right.
Yeah, that's just, that's so basic.
It's nuts.
It's so basic. I guess the closest I came to that was working at the bank, and there were guys who embezzled funds. And, you know, they knew enough to keep the money in cash in a shoebox. Right?
Exactly. My God, put it in diamonds or gold bars or overseas in Liechtenstein or exactly.
Small and portable.
Moron.
And these days, oh my God, there'd be no excuse with Bitcoin and stuff. Oh, by the way, we have an announcement for that, right? We will soon be able to accept donations in Bitcoin for those who prefer to do that, and for people who have not been able to use PayPal or you know, any of the other methods because they live in countries where they don't have access. Let's do a little bit of housekeeping here. Please like, follow, and share the show. Robbie Aid is now in day 4. Just so you guys know, thank you very much. We're almost there. Rob, we are at about $750 out of the $1,000 that we need every month to keep Robbie on as our producer. Full disclosure, John and I both kick $500 each up his way. So you guys are sharing the burden with John and I. Obviously, extra funds are welcome. Robbie has a family, and you know, things, believe it or not, are not that cheap in Montana. I'm sure Robbie would love to talk about that at some other time. But I saw that myself when I was there visiting him. Anyway, so I'm trying to think what else there's. Oh, and Robbie, if we have an ad, let us know. And I will go ahead and I'll bring in Robbie. I guess I'll bring in Robbie now to talk about Robbie Aid, and then we can move on. Robbie,
hey, Ted, can I? Oh, I'm sorry. Robbie was going to. Oh, okay.
No, go ahead.
No, sorry. Go ahead, Robbie. I was just going to say, we're only a couple minutes into the show, and there are some awesome questions already. I'm just taking a look here. Sorry,
Robbie. We're going to get to all your
questions,
questions, we promise. Oh, and by the way, I do have to apologize. I accidentally posted, you know, I used the construction from last week to create some of the social media posts. So some of them went out saying that there's a 2-hour show today. There is not. It is a 1-hour show, no call-in today. I apologize for that. We'll do call-ins at some point in the future because we enjoy doing it. But that's not today. TMI show at 10 o'clock Eastern. Anyway, Robbie, John, go ahead.
Go ahead, Robbie.
Basically, just real quick, a little bit of housekeeping. If you come onto the chat and if you are hawking another show, or if you are spamming the chat trying to get John or Ted onto another show, as John just found out, I will ban you if you want to get banned. I cannot think of a better way of making it happen. So
Plus, you know what? If you listen, I'm a big boy. I can take criticism. I do every single day. But don't be an asshole in the chat trying to bait me. I'm not going to respond. If you're trying to bait me, Robbie's just going to ban you, which happened yesterday. Yep. And the guy wasn't even a clever troll. He was just an idiot. So he's banned.
Well, this guy, I mean, last week he got banned from Discord. And so he just comes back doing the exact same thing on the YouTube chat. It's like, dude.
It's not funny. It's not clever. It's just dumb.
Read the room, grow a clue. So that's all I've got to say for that. As far as Robbie Aid goes, truly, I appreciate each and every one of y'all that donates. I could not do this without your help. So truly, thank you. And starting most likely tomorrow, for those of you who are into cryptocurrencies, DeProgrammed, courtesy of Rumble, will have the ability to take tips 24/7 in cryptocurrency. So looking forward to that. It's going to be fun. And Ted,
one mechanical question, Robbie, about that. If someone donates in, I don't know, let's say Japanese yen, does that convert it to crypto and then send it in crypto, or do they have to have crypto to begin with?
So what they would do is that they would buy the crypto using whatever their local currency is, and then you're able to move it. That's one of the reasons why banks hate it so much. It's because it's totally fluid.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. So that way, like how YouTube is famous for demonetizing people, Rumble, if you're in the Rumble Creator Program and if you have the ability to receive tips, it is impossible to be demonetized.
It's pretty great.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Robbie, you're kind of frozen there.
Oh, no, he's not. No, I see him fine.
Maybe that's on my end. I don't know.
But we have a 1775 coffee ad whenever you're ready.
John, do you still see Robbie?
Yeah, I see him. He told you that you have a 1775 coffee ad if you're ready for it.
Okay. Yeah, he can put it up when he's ready. All right. In the meantime, let's do a question.
It is up.
It is up?
It will be up here in just a second. I think it's you.
I'm just seeing Robbie circulate. All right, let's do a question here. And then maybe if it's a John question, when we get to a John question, I'll reboot. All right, just a comment from Luke. For you, John, I recently came into possession of coins from ancient Macedonia. There's Robbie. All right, I'm taking Robbie out. Okay. Okay. Question for you, John. Why didn't the U.S. do to Cuba, North Vietnam, and North Korea what they did to Venezuela? Was it because Venezuela was too weak, or has the U.S. military gap compared to others increased?
North Korea and Vietnam are different because China is right there on their borders, and
a close ally.
And a close ally. And the U.S. took on China during the Korean War and took it on the chin because of it. The Chinese have literally endless supplies of soldiers that they can just throw at you. So it's different from Venezuela. Venezuela is, as you know, as we were taught in elementary school, is in our backyard. And the Chinese aren't going to come to Venezuela's aid all the way across the globe like that.
I have a different take. I mean, an additional take. I also think that, like the U.S. and Trump has learned from the U.S. experience in the Vietnam War and the Bay of Pigs that a direct military invasion often is doomed and not going to work. So therefore, it's like, hey, can we do this? How easily can we do this? Can we just do a pinprick? It's just kidnap the king, and then maybe the whole kingdom falls just like that, right? I mean, it's almost. I mean, it's kind of childish. It's sort of like the idea of that special spot in the Death Star. If you just hit that spot, the whole thing blows up. Yeah, it doesn't really work like that for.
No, you're right. I don't disagree with that.
Max Peck. Let's see if our ad's up. Our ad's up. I'll go ahead and read it. Still haven't tried 1775 coffee. Now's your shot. The 1775 starter kit just dropped. Only 1,000 units. You're getting the bold dark roast that hits hard, the smooth medium roast, and the vitality mushroom coffee for clean energy and laser focus. No crash. All single origin, small batch, toxin free and mold free. Plus, you're also getting a gold spoon clip because freedom isn't scooped with plastic. A frother strong enough to Stir up your coffee and your mother-in-law's opinions in a black 1775 tumbler. $170 worth of coffee and gear, yours for $99. This is for the ones who've been watching 1775 blow up on Rumble, wondering if it's actually worth it. Spoiler, it is. Go to 1775coffee.com/studio. Grab your starter kit before they're gone. Bold beans, clean fuel, and a morning routine that stands for something just like Rumble does. Okay, let's get back to the questions. The fact that they're Max Peck, the fact that they're even considering military force upon a territory that belongs to a NATO ally is disgusting.
Disgusting.
Do they want Europe to no longer trust an ally against them?
Apparently. I think we're pretty well there.
Yeah.
You know, when the entire European Union comes out to say, not only are you wrong, but we're going to have to do something about it if you don't stop, you know you've gone too far. And I keep coming back, Ted, to this interview that Stephen Miller gave to Jake Tapper over the weekend, calling international peace treaties diplomatic niceties. They aren't niceties. They're international law by which we live our lives, and by which we have lived our lives, you know, for centuries.
Yeah, like it's a friendly, like it's a little suggestion.
Yeah, it's a suggestion. That's right.
It's like a manner.
Yes.
All right, YT viewer, please discuss rumors I keep hearing that the capture of Maduro was actually the result of a deal that Maduro made with the U.S. and that he essentially turned himself in. I don't think they would have sent that many troops, and I don't think that he would have rushed for the safe room.
And we would have killed 80 bystanders in the meantime.
By the way, I love the fact that the U.S. I'm glad you brought that up, John. I love the fact that in our current in this day that we live in, killing 80 people to capture 1 or 2 is considered a surgical operation.
Yeah, surgical. What a pinprick operation that was. Huh?
I mean, please don't give me any surgeons like that.
No, seriously.
Xran, what are Americans' plans with South Africa, John?
American relations with South Africa right now are not good.
Yeah.
And that is by U.S. choice, because we had a perfectly good working relationship with the South Africans until we decided to declare that whites are oppressed there, that they're victims of crimes against humanity. And if you are an Afrikaner, you're welcome to have emergency American refugee status. And the South Africans are like, what? So honestly, I think that eventually it's all going to go back to normal and everybody's going to live happily ever after. But right now things are not good.
I think that's like the whole story of the world right now. Everyone's trying to see if they can just wait out Donald Trump.
Yeah. 3 years is a very long time. And I think the Danes have good reason to be worried.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, let's talk a bit about that, right? I mean, so that treaty, I mean, so the way I read that treaty is it seems like the perfect opportunity for the U.S. to just simply say, okay, well, we have this one base in like this remote corner of the territory.
Mm-hmm.
We can now open other, we can create ports. I mean, after all, that's completely legal. We can flood the zone. I mean, like you said, John, there's 50,000 people who live there. That's nothing. I mean, that's the smaller than the little Ohio suburb of Kettering, where I grew up, that nobody's ever heard of. So, and that's, these are civilian people anyway. So assuming the Danes aren't going to try to go to war against the U.S., we would have troops all over the place. And at a certain point, possession is 9/10 of the law, right? I mean, you can just sort of say, hey, we're here, give it to us, we want it, or else.
Yeah, we could. And that might be what happens at the end of the day.
I mean, I would say that's more likely than not. I don't think it's far from 100%, but I think it's not as low as 50%. What do you think?
I would agree with you. I would agree with you. Now, the only thing that the Danes have going for them right now, in terms of being able to wait Donald Trump out, is that you can't pop up a military base overnight. All right. And because Greenland is Greenland, it's isolated. There are no native trees, just like Iceland, for example. The Americans would have to start from scratch.
And the conditions are brutal.
So you can't, it's not like you can you can build 365 days a year. You're only going to be able to build, 6 months out of the year. And even then, let's say you are able to build a base in addition to one that you already have. Donald Trump's not going to be president in 3 years.
Well, hopefully not. Not if the Constitution means, and if whatever's left of it means anything. John, Trump, we got to talk about this Venezuela thing. Trump announced that Venezuela has agreed to send the United States 30 to 50 million barrels of oil. That's 2 months worth of current production from the country. That's between 1.8 and $3 billion to the United States. It's unclear whether Venezuela would be paid. First of all, do you believe him? I'm not sure I do.
No, because we don't know who the Venezuelan leader is. I mean, it could be Dulce Rodriguez. The international community is recognizing Nicolas Maduro as the president of Venezuela. So who was this agreement negotiated with?
I assume with Dulce Rodriguez. And then the other question is, I mean, what are we going to do with that? I mean, I know what we do with oil, but I mean, the United States doesn't have an oil shortage. We buy all the oil that we need, right?
Yeah.
So what is that going to do? Is it just going to sit in the strategic reserve? I mean, it's just, I mean, not to mention also, speaking of disgusting, I mean, Venezuela's economy is reeling right now.
Yeah,
in large, and due to recent events, as well as, the result of 20 plus years of U.S. sanctions.
Yeah.
This is a poor country. The last thing we should be sending them money, not the other way around.
Yes, you're right. We should be sending them money. I just read yesterday, for example, in the New York Times, that there is a real danger of starvation now in Venezuela because the economy has collapsed. There's almost no oil being lifted, and the government is in a state of chaos. So what do? We're talking about multi-billion-dollar deals now, and we have this agreement over oil, and we don't know who signed it, and we don't know who supports it, and then in the meantime, people are like, listen, there's no food. We should be talking about eating. So, I don't know, man.
I mean, there's so many ways this could go, but domestically in Venezuela, I could easily see a left-wing revolution, a true left-wing revolution, a communist revolution.
If I were the State Department, I'd be worried about that.
I mean, right? I mean, because obviously, a populist left could arise and say we're going to kick out the imperialists, save the revolution, seize control of all of our oil, keep our assets for ourselves, reach out and have a really a stronger alliance with Russia or China.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if I were the Venezuelans, I'd reach out to Moscow.
Well, let me ask you about that.
We want the same deal with you that Belarus has.
Why haven't we heard anything from the Russians or the Chinese? Why haven't the Chinese said, we're going to send our aircraft carrier over there to observe, or to whatever?
Well, the Russians are escorting that tanker.
Yeah.
So that's basically a message like, you can fuck with our ally, but you can't fuck with us directly and our shit.
Yeah.
I think that the Chinese and the Russians they both are motivated by first of all, they do believe in spheres of influence. They think that Venezuela is more our sphere of influence.
So are they conceding that? Is that what this is?
I think partly. And it's also, if they concede that, then tacitly it builds the argument that Ukraine is in Russia's sphere of influence and that Taiwan is in China's sphere of influence.
And you know what? I think Donald Trump would agree with that.
Right. No, I think that, so I think it's kind of like, well, great powers be great powers. And that's just how that rolls. And I think also neither Russia nor China wants to pick a fight with the United States or with Trump.
Yep.
And also, I got to say, it's also that rule, when someone's fucking up, don't get in their way. Donald Trump's fucking up. This is not good for Donald Trump.
Right.
I mean, we should talk about the polls that are out. There's another set of polls that have come out, and basically they sort of this all shows that the American people. So basically, there's weak support for this operation against Venezuela. 1 out of 3 Americans, not even a majority of Republicans, sort of like 40-ish%, 45% of Republicans are okay with this. But even they all think that the president's top priority ought to be the U.S. economy, domestic affairs, fighting inflation, and creating affordability and better jobs.
Mm-hmm.
The American people have sent a clear message now for the better part of 10 years that what they really care about is the U.S. economy, and they're feeling worried about being able to pay their bills,
Mm-hmm.
and they should be because of AI
Indeed.
and all that. And so this is not going to play. I mean, I think this is, basically people are sitting at home and this just started a week ago, right?
Yeah.
But they're starting to think, what is the president on about? What is he doing?
Yeah. What's the goal?
He's not, his eye is no longer on the ball.
I think PhD dissertations are going to be based on this period and what this means for MAGA. Is this what MAGA is, or is this the death of MAGA?
And I think it's true that sort of Nick Fuentes, there's first America first, and there's MAGA, and they're not the same.
Mm-hmm.
And America First is an old idea, right? Like, as you know, I collect political ephemera. I have Woodrow Wilson buttons that say America First on them.
That's why it took us so long to get involved in the First World War. We came in at the end, and then we claim we won the thing.
Yeah, my favorite one is the one that says, "He kept us out of war. Re-elect Wilson, 1916. It's awesome. Black Panther asks, John, what do you think about a movie and TV series, Tinker Tailor, the movie and TV series, Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy?
Yeah, awesome. Where was I just talking about that? Was that? Oh, no. I was talking about that on my other podcast. I did a Q&A a couple of days ago, and somebody asked me for my favorite spy movie, my favorite spy novel, and I can't just pare it down to one, but I said Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy, The Man Who Came In From the Cold. Those were the books that introduced me to the spy genre. Absolutely amazing. And
who's your favorite spy novelist?
It has to be John le Carré.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, obviously you come from a different
so
place.
Subtle. Yeah.
I love Len Dayton, though.
Len Dayton's great too. But I for my favorite espionage movie, I gave this a lot of thought, and I decided that it's North by Northwest.
Oh, wow.
That is the classiest. Yeah. I think it might be my favorite movie of all time.
Wow.
Yeah, I do. But
I never get tired of The Day of the Jackal, ever.
Wonderful, wonderful film.
The pacing of that movie.
Oh my God, just amazing. Yeah, and I'm partial to Hitchcock. I love just about everything Hitchcock ever did, whether it's Rear Window or Rope or 39 Steps or
Love 39 Steps. My favorite is
North by
Suspicion.
Northwest. Suspicion is wonderful. Just wonderful.
The birds I can do without, but I get it.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah, he was dabbling in horror. His wife hated Psycho, and she hated The Birds.
I think I'm on Team Mrs. Hitchcock here.
Yeah, she said that he had damaged his reputation as a serious auteur.
I think that's true.
By moving into horror, I think it probably is true.
In the end, in the long run, it doesn't matter, though.
I know I risk being banned by Robbie for saying it, but can I plug my other show? And the only reason I want to, is Deep Focus, my other podcast that's on YouTube. I have 99,900 subscribers today.
You want to get to 100,000?
Today, I'm going to get that YouTube button.
Congratulations! That's amazing.
You. I'm excited about it.
Also, I was thinking we need to start mentioning our books. So, John, tell me which is the we'll start doing that tomorrow, and I'll put the covers up, and we can start selling our books here.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
So for those for people who still read, McKenna, why is the U.S. not part of the ICC, the International Criminal Court? Do you think they should be? 1,000,000% they should be.
Absolutely, positively, yes. But the reason that we're not is because we commit crimes, international crimes, all the time. And we don't want to be called on the carpet for it.
That's it. That's exactly it. Askanoid, the Jelani regime is attacking the Kurdish and Christian quarters in Aleppo.
Yep.
What's the plan? What's the U.S. plan? It's like the CIA is supporting the Islamist regime and the Pentagon is supporting the Kurdish army with heavy arms.
And that is exactly what many of us predicted what would happen. And we were accused of being pro-terrorist because, listen, I said this 1,000 times in podcasts, and I've taken it on the chin from people. But I said, you don't have to like Bashar al-Assad's politics to recognize that he is the only thing standing between the Christian community and total annihilation. And that's what's happening now.
That's true. Yeah. Polar Plunger, good question. After the blatant rhetoric of annexing Greenland, what do you think Denmark's options are? Revoke U.S. bases, wait for a new administration, or acquiesce? John, I don't think they have time to wait for a new administration.
No, I don't either.
A new administration could just be more of the same.
That's right.
They should kick the United States out of Greenland immediately, in my opinion.
Totally agree with that. I say all the time, kind of semi as a joke, that one of the first things they teach you in business school is that hope is not a strategy. And there's not a whole lot the Danes can do right now other than hope. But I agree. What they should do is they should shut down the U.S. base right now. And they should flood Greenland with Danish troops and
yes.
dare the Americans to come and fight.
Yeah, and they should I think they should put NATO on notice that there's an imminent Article 5 situation.
Yes,
right.
That's right.
I mean, and there is.
There is.
Effectively, the world's biggest superpower is massed on Greenland's border.
Yes.
Effectively.
Yes, indeed.
So thank you for that question. John and Ted, Petlantis, any thoughts on Kash Patel moving the FBI out of the Hoover building?
Oh, yeah. Oh, listen, the Hoover building is the most obvious example of brutalist architecture in Washington. It is right on something. Pennsylvania Avenue.
That in the old Washington Post building.
That in the old Washington Post building. The Hoover building, in my humble opinion, is the most hideous building that has ever been built in Washington, D.C. And it's worse that it was built on the nation's boulevard, Pennsylvania Avenue. If it were up to me, I would have nuked that thing decades ago. Donald Trump, God bless him, is the only person with the guts to say that freaking building is so ugly it should be in a heap of rubble right now.
So is it purely on aesthetics, or are there technological reasons that there?
Oh, there are technological reasons. First of all, it's falling apart.
Mm-hmm.
The roof leaks. Documents get mold all over them. It's full of rats. They can't control the rats. And I'm not making a joke there. It actually is full of rats.
It's really funny. I had I've had several conversations with friends about, Trump's executive order that all future federal government buildings should be built in the Greco-Roman style.
Right.
Even all my ardent socialist friends, they're all like, Trump's got a point. We're tired of this brutalist architecture.
It's awful. It's hideous. It's hideous. And, it's funny. The reason why Trump said in the first term that he wanted to knock down the building was because he so hated the FBI, he wanted to scatter them all over the country. Right. Which yes, totally agree. Send them all to West Virginia for all I care. I don't care. Make them move all over the country. But the truth is that building is hideous. It should never have been built in the first place. It never should have been named after that drag queen, J. Edgar Hoover. And so finally, a president has the guts to say, the building's not working. In addition to being hideous, it has to come down. So for years, and this started during the Clinton administration, by the way. So for years, there was this federal commission to try to decide what to do with headquarters. Where do you put it if you're going to tear down the building? And so when Barbara Mikulski, remember her?
Yeah.
Was the chairwoman of the Senate Appropriations Committee and one of the most powerful, probably the most powerful woman in the Senate. She got Congress to approve relocating the FBI to Prince George's County, Maryland, which is like the shithole county of suburban Washington, D.C.
Well, that's kind of good, right? It's like an economic stimulus for Prince George's.
Absolutely. And then, Obama said no, and then Trump changed it to scatter them all around the country. And then Biden said, no, we're going to renovate the building. Well, now we're not going to renovate the building. We're going to tear it down. And I don't think Trump cares where the FBI goes now at this point.
Have we, the answer for me here is no. Rojo Grande, have either of you heard of Professor Jiang Shui Qin on YouTube? He posts his lessons on U.S. global hegemony and Israeli influences on the West among many modern subjects. I do not know who that is.
I don't know him, but thanks for the lead. I'll check him out.
Ogaga, Happy New Year to use too. Please, how important do we see the midterms for the Republicans vis-a-vis President Trump? Should they be worried? Oh, they should be worried.
Say the first part again.
How important will the midterms be for the Republicans?
Listen,
should they be worried? Yeah, they should be worried.
I have a friend at the Republican National Committee who told me recently that the Republicans' internal polling shows the potential for what my friend called a bloodbath. Now, if you look at the polls that have been publicly released, it doesn't look like a bloodbath because the Republicans have pretty well protected themselves. But with the death of another Republican congressman day before yesterday, the Republicans have a majority of 5, which means if the Democrats flip 3 seats, it's done.
Which they will.
They're looking at flipping 15 seats. That's what the Republican polls show. 15 to 40. I'm going to go with 15.
I don't see the Republicans hanging on to the House.
No, but Trump said in a closed-door Republican offsite on Sunday that if the Democrats win back the House, he expects to be impeached again.
Oh, I agree with that.
Yes.
I mean, of course, he won't be removed in the Senate, but yeah.
No. Hey, can I add one thing? We had a question at the very beginning of the show, and now I've lost it.
Oh, shit.
But one of our viewers, and forgive me, here it is. Jones Jameson. Absolutely excellent question. And thank you for the $4.99. There's a photo of Maduro wearing a blindfold and noise-canceling headphones. Is this a violation of the Geneva Convention, and does it count as torture? Yes, it is a violation of the Geneva Convention. I tell a story on podcasts all the time where the night that we caught Abu Zubaydah, we caught dozens and dozens and dozens of other Al-Qaeda fighters. And there were so many of them that we had to bring them into the safe house in shifts in a paddy wagon. And when the first load of 10 came in, I said to this idiot who was working for me, why do they have hoods on? And he said, we don't want them to see our faces. And I said, are you seriously telling me that you've never read the Geneva Convention? You cannot put hoods on them. That is a violation of international law. It's a war crime. And I said, take those hoods off. And he says, wait, leave the hoods on. And he said, I'm going to report you to headquarters. I said, oh, I'm already reporting you to headquarters. You've committed a war crime. And I took the hoods off and we reported each other to headquarters and I got in trouble.
Wow.
Yeah. So yes, that is a war crime.
Were you in trouble because because your bosses didn't want to consider them to have POW, have the status of POWs and therefore they have those rights?
Yes.
So that's the right. So Speaking of which, President Maduro presented himself before the judge in Brooklyn, in New York, and said, by the way, this 92-year-old judge who apparently has a habit of falling asleep during trials.
Yes.
But anyway, so we could have a whole conversation about that. Maybe we should. But presented himself for the judge and declared himself to be a prisoner of war. Was that of his own accord, or do you think he discussed that with his new lawyer?
His
appears to be pretty
attorney,
good.
his attorney is Barry Pollock.
Mhm.
I know Barry. Barry used to be the chief counsel for the American Civil Liberties Union, and he was Julian Assange's attorney. Barry is arguably one of the finest criminal defense attorneys anywhere in America. He would be on everybody's list of the top 10 best attorneys in America. If there's only one guy you can get to defend you, it should be Barry Pollock. So yeah, they know exactly what they're doing.
And so, yeah, I mean, so obviously that's going to be a play. It's not likely to work, probably, right? But it's a good tactic.
No, the deck is stacked.
How does Maduro? I mean, how do high-profile defendants like Maduro, locked up, basically kept under lock and key? How do they get legal counsel? Does a high-profile attorney like Barry see the story and then decide to reach out, or how does that work?
Usually, yes. Usually, yes. One of Maduro's attorneys is, oh my God, we've had him on both of our shows on Sputnik. It's and he's on the board with me at Covert Action, and we're Facebook friends. What's wrong with me?
It'll come back.
It'll come back. He's a professor of law at the University of Pittsburgh.
Oh, right. Yeah. Yeah, that'll come back. Anyway,
he's one of Maduro's attorneys, but I'm going to guess that once Maduro is snatched,
lawyers reach out.
Phone calls
are they allowed
made.
To visit, or are
Pollock? Maduro has a constitutional right to counsel, so yeah, the lawyers can visit. Yes.
So they say, "Hey, listen, I'm so and so. I'd like to represent you." Blah blah blah.
Dan Kovalik.
Dan Kovalik. Yeah, exactly.
I'm sorry, Dan. I just had a mental fart. Sorry.
62 years old. That's my excuse. So let's see. Black Panther. Has it been confirmed that Aldrich Ames was responsible for exposing all of those spies, or just simply due to lack of other evidence? Is it, in other words, were there other double agents out there, possibly, and basically they closed all the files once they caught Ames?
The CIA has a very large unit called the Counterintelligence Center. They have the Counterintelligence Center because you have to always assume that there are moles, and you have to route them out. So yeah, they always assume that they're out there, whether they're in the CIA or the FBI or DOD or at the White House or, the Department of Energy, or more commonly, American defense contractors. Yeah, you have to assume that there are moles out there right now.
Question for Robbie. So I'll put Robbie here. Thanks for the $10 from Unsung Pat. Thoughts on Putin's view of American consumerism?
From what I've seen, is he basically thinks it's a debt trap, and I really can't say I disagree with him. I mean, every Christmas, the American consumer goes into debt by millions of dollars, and for what? What are you getting out of it except for more interest?
Agreed. All right. Thank you for that, Robbie. Let's see. Okay. Philip Blair. If the Trump administration moves against Cuba, might the PRC move to politically reunite Taiwan with the rest of China? Well, politically, they have been moving toward that for many years. I mean, people don't realize that they have it's odd. The KMT government is the pro-unification party as opposed to the DPP, which used to be the Independence Party. So things have kind of flipped. They're having a realignment there. But I think you mean militarily. And I think, so there I'd go, the odds are not zero, but the odds are not as high as 50%. What do you think, John?
Yeah, I think that's right.
Young Courthouse, $2. Thanks very much. Not bait, but I read Rick Prada's book, and he tells a compelling side of his story, alleging that Miami police corruption and framing him in a disprovable way. I'm curious why John doesn't buy that story.
I wrote a review of Rick's book. I knew Rick for years. Rick's a very nice guy. There was credible evidence developed by the Miami police that before joining the CIA, Rick was a hitman for the Cali cartel. And that's how he came to the CIA's attention. That's how he specifically came to Jose Rodriguez's attention. Because when Rodriguez was a station chief in South America and the Cali cartel was whacking its opponents, Jose thought, this guy knows what he's doing. We can bring him over to the CIA. And what do you think Rick did when he was at the CIA? He was in charge of the Special Activities Division. So, I wrote this review of the book, and it was published in Covert Action magazine, and almost immediately Rick's wife emailed me and threatened me. Like, wow. It was a very specific threat. Because I said, Rick Prado is a great guy. I said, you read the book, he loves his wife, he loves his kids, he loves the agency, he hates communism, he hates Castro. But what he didn't talk about is these credible accusations that he had been a hitman for the Cali cartel and that he had carried out 3 murders of drug runners in Miami. And then all of a sudden, that investigation just went away when he joined the CIA.
Okay. A question for me, Nicholas Francos. In past streams, you've said that you believe in spheres of influence. Therefore, Russian actions are somewhat understandable. Isn't the same for the U.S. regarding Cuba and Venezuela? Yeah, it is the same for the Cuba. However, I think there's a misunderstanding here of what spheres of influence mean. It doesn't mean that you can just invade willy-nilly any country that you feel like. It means that if you're a great power, you have the ability and therefore the right to secure your borders and your particular area and make sure you don't have like enemies all around you, right? Or on your border. Like in the United States' case, Venezuela is far from our borders. And even if it was on our border, presented no military or other threat whatsoever to the United States. So therefore, there's absolutely no reason under the old spheres of influence from the 20th century, there would be no excuse even by like 1955 standards for the U.S. invading Venezuela.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, MT16, for the $20. Thanks from Mike in Nottingham. John, what made Gust, I'm going to butcher this, Avracalos a great CIA officer?
Gus Avracalos. Gus Avracalos was played by Philip Seymour Hoffman in the film Charlie Wilson's War. Gus was a dear friend of mine. He was my mentor at the CIA and one of my operational instructors. What made him good was that he was quite literally not afraid of anything or anyone, period. He was not afraid of death. He was not afraid of what operations, if they were to go bad, would do to his reputation. He believed that what he was doing was right, and so he went and did it. This is the only guy in the history of the CIA who was able to take a swing at the deputy director for operations, connect, and not only not get fired, but get promoted to the senior intelligence service. There are stories I could tell you about Gus, oh my God, that I actually shouldn't. There were a couple of stories I had to leave out of my book, my first book, at the request of his family. They're like, yeah, don't tell that story.
Frasmataz is asking me, but John, I don't know if you know the answer to this question too. Did we check out the Elon Musk approved Nazi cartoon series, The Will Stancil Show? I'm not endorsing the message, but the medium format style is interesting.
No, that
I have not watched it, and I know what it is. And I agree that the format is interesting. So I'll check it out. Look, we've been looking for. I've been looking as a cartoonist, and many of us have been, for ways to turn around commentary quickly using the latest. Like I would love to be able to generate a cartoon based on a breaking news story and get it out within like 10 minutes or an hour. And this is kind of like, this is almost like that. It's almost like a crowdsourced, cartoon. So it's cool. That's a cool idea. I mean, what it's about. All right, Alex. John started reading about Carlos the Jackal. His bio and OPEC raid sounds like something from a supervillain story.
I know,
Have you ever
right?
encountered anyone like him in your line of work? I like that question.
Not like Carlos. Carlos is I talk more about Carlos in my grad school class at the University of Salamanca than I talk about any other terrorist or terrorist group. Carlos was an operational genius, and he was only captured by accident. We don't have time for me to tell that story, but it was purely by accident.
We will get to it. You're right. We've only got a few minutes left, and John, someone's calling you out. And if you don't want to answer this, we can just tell him to fuck off. But
yeah,
Lorraine Frost says, "Don't know that John reads the comments." He does. So asking you to relay to John, it's disheartening that John doesn't have his full attention to us viewers. What's he so fascinated with in his laptop?
No, it's not my laptop. I'm on my desktop, and I have ongoing computer problems where things are freezing on my screen, and I'm looking at the keyboard trying to figure out how I can free up my desktop so I don't have to trash it and go to Apple and buy another $2,000 unit.
Okay. See, now you know.
And then once it unfreezes, then I can look directly at the screen.
Yeah, by the way, if we start making more money, John, you can, I mean,
I know, seriously, this is an ongoing
desktop
problem
that I'm on
for
now.
me.
I paid like $6,000 for back in 2018.
Yeah.
And so these things are not
cheap. And I bought this in 2017, and it's on its very last legs. Like this morning, I missed a conference call because I just could not get the little circle of death to stop spinning.
So, all right. Now you know. Who dat? John or Ted, have you ever considered running for office? I have.
I have too. I actually told my ex-wife in 2009 that I was thinking of making a run in Pennsylvania's 4th congressional district. And she said, I've never said no to anything that you've wanted to do, including blowing the whistle. She said, on this, I'm putting my foot down, and you are not running for Congress. And so I didn't.
I was recruited by Elliot Spitzer to run for Congress, and before all the troubles, and when he was governor. And basically, I just thought about the fact that it's impossible to affect change, and you just be sitting in a bunch of fucking boring meetings. And I was just like,
yeah,
I could use the money and the notoriety, but I don't. But honestly, you only go around once, and I want to try to do something that seems to be somewhat useful. Thanks for the $20, Dadley of Triplets. Thanks for another great hour of insight. That sounds like great. Oh yeah, we're gonna have to leave that there. There was a question about learning Arabic. Yeah, that's good. We do not have time for.
We can do that tomorrow. No, we can do it tomorrow. It's all about immersion.
Okay, there's the answer there, but we'll talk more. We'll be back tomorrow. That will be Thursday, 9:00 Eastern time, just for an hour. That's the new deal here, 9 to 10 a.m. Eastern. Thanks, John, very much.
Thanks, Ted.
Stay tuned for the TMI show with me and Manila Chan. Tomorrow will be Scott Stantis and I will be doing a DMZ America podcast at 11 o'clock. Not today. All right. Thanks, everyone. Bye, John. See you tomorrow.